He was kicked out with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. Years later, he returned not as a tenant, but as the new owner of the entire building. Aditya Singh still remembered that night like it was tattooed into his memory. 5 years ago, he stood on the front steps of a worn-out apartment building, clutching a single suitcase, while rain soaked through his clothes. His landlord had thrown him out in front of everyone for being late on rent. "Dreams don't pay the bills," the man had scoffed. "Go back to your village, boy." Neighbors stared from balconies, some with pity, others with smirks. Aditya, humiliated but silent, picked up his bag and walked away. No arguments, no drama, but inside something ignited. That night, he swore, "One day I won't just pay rent. I'll own the roof above every head in this building." He found shelter in a friend's garage, working odd jobs by day, coding through the night on borrowed laptops, failed startups, sleepless weeks. But failure became fuel. And then, he built an app, an idea no one believed in, until it exploded. Now, standing in a sleek suit at the entrance of the very same building that once rejected him, Aditya held a folder labeled Title Deed, Singh Holdings. The building was up for sale. He'd bought it, all of it, but he hadn't come back for revenge. He came back for closure. What he didn't expect was who still lived on the 3rd floor. As Aditya walked through the familiar, chipped hallways, old memories echoed louder than his footsteps. The peeling walls still looked the same. The buzzing tube light on the 2nd floor still flickered like a heartbeat. Every creak of the floorboards whispered stories he once tried to forget. He climbed the stairs, pausing outside flat 3B, his old apartment. He hesitated, then knocked. The door opened slowly, and his breath caught. An elderly woman peeked through, her eyes widened. "Adi?" It was Mrs. D'Souza, his former neighbor, the one who once slipped him dinner in foil when she noticed he hadn't eaten for days. The one who offered kind words when others mocked his poverty. "Mrs. D," he smiled, "you still remember me." She pulled him into a tight hug. "You think I forget the boy who fixed my Wi-Fi and taught me WhatsApp?" They sat for tea, and she looked around his crisp suit with pride. "You've done well, Beta," she said. "We all heard. Everyone in the building talks about you, but why are you here?" Aditya smiled softly and opened the folder. "I bought this place." Her eyes widened. "The whole building?" He nodded. "All of it." She gasped, but not from greed, from disbelief. "But why this building? After what they did to you?" Aditya's eyes darkened for a moment, remembering the night he'd been pushed out without dignity. "Because I want to rewrite what this building represents," he said. "Not shame, not powerlessness. I want it to stand for second chances." What Mrs. D'Souza said next would shake him. "The landlord? Mr. Kapoor? He's still here. Top floor. Lost everything after the market crash. Doesn't talk to anyone." Aditya's face stilled. The man who once kicked him into the street was now a tenant, forgotten and fading. And just like that, the choice Aditya had been waiting for his whole life was standing right in front of him. Aditya stood in front of the top-floor door, the same one Mr. Kapoor once locked behind him as he tossed a younger, humbler version of him into the rain. He raised his hand and knocked. Silence. Then slow, heavy footsteps. The door creaked open. Mr. Kapoor stood there, older, thinner, with defeated eyes, and a towel draped over his shoulder. His once commanding presence had faded into something hollow. His eyes narrowed. "Yes?" Aditya offered a small, calm smile. "You may not recognize me. It's been a while." Mr. Kapoor squinted, then blinked. You're the boy I evicted." Aditya nodded. "Aditya Singh." A long pause stretched between them. Mr. Kapoor straightened. So, what now? You're here to enjoy the fall of the man who threw you out? Come to rub it in? Aditya's voice remained steady. I'm here because I just became your landlord. The old man's jaw tightened. His pride flickered, but his shoulders sagged. So this is revenge. No, Aditya said gently. If it were, I wouldn't have knocked. Mr. Kapoor looked away. I made mistakes. I was cruel. I judged you by your clothes, not your potential. I thought money made someone worthy. Turns out I had neither when I needed it most. Aditya paused, then held out an envelope. What's this? The man asked. A notice, Aditya said. Mr. Kapoor braced himself, but when he opened it, his hands trembled. It wasn't an eviction. It was a rent waiver, for life. I want you to stay, Aditya said softly. Not because of what you did, but because I won't repeat it. This building gave me a reason to rise. Now, it's going to give people a reason to heal. Mr. Kapoor stared at him in disbelief. Why would you, after everything? Aditya's eyes didn't blink. Because power is knowing you could humiliate someone, and choosing to lift them instead. 6 months later, the building that once echoed with slammed doors and overdue rent notices had transformed into something entirely new. It still had the same structure, but now it had a soul. Aditya renamed it Udaan Heights. Each floor was renovated with bright paint, solar lights, and an open community hall where kids could study and senior citizens could gather. The top floor was turned into a free co-working space for struggling freelancers and students who couldn't afford cafes or fancy setups. And most remarkably, the ground floor was now the Restart Center, a safe hub for people who had been evicted, rejected, or forced out of homes they once loved. No rent, no questions, just a fresh start. Aditya visited every week, not as a boss, not for press, but as a listener. He met single mothers rebuilding their lives. He shared coffee with jobless graduates who sat where he once had, lost but full of quiet fire. And each time he stepped through the lobby, he'd glance at the brass plaque installed near the entrance. It read, "This place once threw me out." Today, it opens its doors to others, not to remember my fall, but to celebrate our rise. And upstairs, in a simple room with a balcony and a view of the city, Mr. Kapoor now watered his tulsi plant every morning. No longer feared, no longer proud, but quietly thankful. One afternoon, he caught Aditya leaving and said softly, "I still don't understand why you didn't throw me out when you had the chance." Aditya smiled without turning back. Because throwing someone out is easy. Teaching them what staying feels like? That's power. A year later, Udaan Heights had become a case study in social transformation. Not just a building, but a living story of second chances, full circles, and the power of choosing grace over vengeance. Because sometimes, buying the place that once broke you isn't about bricks. It's about building something no one can ever take away again. Yourself.